In a day and age where women are taking the positions of wealth and power that men have historically took, that doesn't mean that you as a woman necessarily want to be the pursuer when it comes to relationships. Being the one who approaches in dating can seem quite masculine, and you would be right in your assessment, except for one thing. There are ways to approach in a masculine way and in a feminine way. And the feminine way to approach isn't to actually pursue a guy, but it's actually getting him to pursue you. It's using your feminine ways, that feminine allure, that feminine energy, and gets a guy to ask you out. Pursuing is forward engagement. Inviting is enticed engagement. See what I mean? The masculine pursues, the feminine invites. And that's exactly what we're going to focus on today. We're going to go through a few of the most common life situations, and I'm going to show you how to use your feminine energy to get a guy to pursue and ask you out. Now, first thing that we have to understand, there's one thing that you have to have as a foundation before getting any guy to approach you. And you can immediately start applying this to 90% of all scenarios and situations, whether it's in a coffee shop or a restaurant or an event, and that is sending choosing signals. Choosing signals are social cues that tell a guy that you are interested in him. I mean, how many times has it happened where you've been at a social event, like a bar or a party, where there was a guy there who you wanted to approach you, but he never did? Did you send him any choosing signals? If you did, what did you send? Here is a very simple example of how you can send choosing signals that you can start implementing tomorrow. Look, smile, and wave. That's it. Most guys won't approach you unless you've given them clear signals. Because without that, the ones that do approach you, they're usually the guys who approach every single girl at the club. And most of the time, they're usually the guys that you don't want to approach you because you didn't give them any sign to. And I get it. Look, smile, and wave might seem a bit direct, but you have to be direct to some degree if you want him to directly approach you. You have to make it crystal clear to him. A lot of women try and purely rely on making very little eye contact, and not even eye contact, more like a glance. But if you're not smiling when you do glance, or worse, you have resting bitch face, he's just gonna think that you're judging him. And that does not make you approachable at all. So let's apply this to a real life situation. And we'll start with the most common one when you're at a club or you're at a bar. So imagine you're out at a club with your girlfriend or at a bar. You're looking good, you're feeling yourself, your friends are looking glam, you're having a great time with your girlfriends, and you see a guy that you like. You like his look, you like his energy, you like how he carries himself. He's someone who, tickles your fancy. So first off, you've been with your girlfriend, 99% of men are not going to approach you because to him, you just look like a pack of wolves. So the first thing you have to prepare yourself to do is you have to prepare to separate yourself from the group. And there is a key moment to which you separating yourself from the group will get him to come to you. But while you're in the group, it's very important that you initiate that eye contact with him. This is where the look, smile, and wave would come into play. And if you can't make eye contact with him because of where you're positioned in the room and where he is, then you need to move yourself into his peripheral vision. And the truth is, if you are feeling yourself and you are looking good, he's going to glance your way, especially if you're wearing an outfit that, accentuates some of your assets, shall I say. He won't be able to help himself, but look, he's a man. So you're in his peripheral vision and you manage to make eye contact. Now, when you look, do you glance and look away? Do you hold? What do you do? You need to maintain a level of eye contact with him for at least 3 seconds. I mean, literally, if you have to, look at him and count 1, 2, 3. And I get 3 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but actually when you're looking at someone, it very clearly shows intention. Believe me, looking at a stranger for 3 seconds might feel like a little bit of an eternity, which is good. It's supposed to. You're not used to it. You are initiating and building tension with him. Most people don't have eye contact with strangers in public for less than half a second. And while it may feel at first long, it's really important you do that because you have to maintain eye contact long enough for him to recognize that you see him. You see him, he sees you. If you do that and he acknowledges you, then you give the smile. If you're an attractive woman, then 80% of men in that bar want to approach you. But the truth is 79% don't feel they have the permission to. And if he's an attractive guy who A, has a level of emotional intelligence and B, has a level of respect for women, he is going to be looking for that permission. Gone are the days when a guy will just randomly approach a girl. Because of the current Me Too climate, it's way too risky for most men. So by you doing this is you giving him the permission to approach you, and he will. Now, once you've done that, you've sent the signals, this is the moment where you have to separate yourself from the group. You need to separate yourself from your girlfriends. So maybe you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go to the other side of the bar to get a drink where I'm by myself. And you give him the opportunity. Now, here's the thing. If he's a man who's with his wherewithal, he has got that level of emotional intelligence, and he finds you attractive, and there's a level of confidence there, which I'm assuming is the kind of man that you want, he's gonna take that chance. First common scenario, done. Now let's look at the feminine way to approach a guy that you work with. There's a guy at your work that you're interested in, but you don't really know how to go about it. Now, when you do see him at work, you don't want to do it there and then because it's the work environment. You feel this might be, a little bit inappropriate. Also, it would be super embarrassing to get shot down by everybody that you work with who you're going to be seeing 5 days a week for the next 12 months. But that doesn't mean that you don't want to hang out with him, right? And ideally, we would get him to ask you. So what's the best way to do that? How do we do it in a feminine way that invites the intention from him to you? The easiest way to do this with someone that you work with is to ask for help for something that you're working on. And the great thing is this can be done regularly. The reason this is really good is because it is very likely that the only way that he can help you is outside of office hours, where there's less of a pressure to keep it professional because it's just you two. There's no one else around. So if you were scared of having that kind of conversation with him in front of everyone in the workplace, you don't have to worry about that here. Now, if you ask him, hey, do you mind helping me with something that I'm working on? Is this you asking him out? Is this you trying to initiate a move? Not necessarily. What this is doing is this is providing a space where he has the opportunity to get to know you outside of a work environment. Now you could just say to him, hey, I need some help with this. Would you mind just sparing me a couple of hours next week? Or you could be, hey, I just want to pick your thoughts on something that I'm working on. I'd really appreciate your insight. And it's really easy for him to start to wonder, oh, is she taking interest in me or is she just asking for help with work? And that's exactly what you want. You want him to be curious about you. You want him to be almost second guessing himself a bit because it easily could be something professional or it could be an opportunity for something else. And this is why when you do spend time with him, when he's helping you with whatever work or project that you've asked him to help you on, this is where you can afford to be more friendly. You can afford to be a little bit more tactile. I'm not saying you have to have your hand on his leg the whole time, but you can initiate physical contact in some way. Part of approaching a man in a feminine way is showing him that you are open for engagement, but it's not you directly making the first step into making it something romantic. That's what you're inviting him to do. So when you show that you are friendly, that you are kind, that you are warm outside of the work environment, especially if you can show a side to you that you don't really show at work, that's going to make him go, oh wow, this is a side of her I didn't even know existed and I already find her attractive. So maybe I should spend some more time with her. Right, on to the next most common scenario is when you want to approach a guy at your gym. And this is becoming more and more common. How to get the guy at your gym to ask you out. Now, the thing is, because of the current culture and awareness, especially around gym behavior, with men being exposed as creeps, some of it justified, a lot of it is just imposed judgment and where the girl just trying to get some views. Guys are very, very hyper aware and very sensitive to women in the gym, especially any girl that he finds attractive, even remotely attractive. Like, I know a couple of friends where they were at the gym, they want to go work on a machine, and if it was a guy there, they'd usually jump in, but if there was a girl there, they just go, well, clearly I'm not using that machine today. Many guys don't even want to converse with a girl at the gym because they don't want to be accused of being a creep. And so because of this current environment and culture right now, it is harder to get a guy at your gym to ask you out, but it is not impossible. Now, getting the guy at your gym to ask you out most likely is not going to happen on your first interaction with him. There's a level of rapport, of comfortability that has to be established first before he feels comfortable to actually take the risk of asking you out. Now, the simplest way to start building that rapport and the easiest way to do it as a woman is if he's at the gym, then he's likely in good shape or he is getting into good shape. And to be honest, if you want him to ask you out, that's probably proof that he's already in great shape. So then take a look at his physique, and chances are if he's a guy, he most definitely works on either arms, chest, or back pretty regularly. Obviously, you shouldn't skip leg day, but when guys go to the gym, usually it's the upper body that they target first. So when you are at the gym together and you see him doing an exercise, let's say he's working biceps that day, what you can do is as you're walking past him, you can say, hey, I've been looking to start to train my biceps, wondering if you could help me out. Do you have any tips for me to get started? Why it's not as direct and confronting as you think is because you are not moving to him in a romantic sense. It's not a romantic approach, it's a professional approach. You're going to him as a fellow trainer looking to improve their physique, and he'll automatically feel flattered because he'll think, wow, out of everyone in the gym, she asked me. So then he shows you how to train your biceps. And maybe you even do a set together. And then when you've done that set and he's kind of showed you the ropes, so to speak, you just say, oh, thanks, that was really helpful. And then you go back to your workout. You leave the area. Yes, you leave. This isn't about him getting to ask you out yet. This is just initiation of contact number 1. And what you've done is plant that seed. So now it's time to water it. They may be thinking, oh, but Kit, how can I be sure that the seed has been planted for him about me, for him to be curious about me? Because like I said before, he's a man. And if you're a girl who's even remotely attracted to some degree, he is going to wonder and be a bit curious, even if it's just a little bit. And so now, every time you see him, because you've had that initial level of contact, you can now be saying hi and greet him, right? Because you're not strangers anymore. And obviously there will be times where you're not working out at the gym exactly the same time. There'll be times where you're leaving and he's coming in, and there'll be times where you're coming in and he's leaving. But because you've established that initial level of contact, you can greet and acknowledge each other when you're around in the gym. Because he's become a gym friend now, right? Now, the next thing that happens at this point is from when you're both there on the same day training at the same time. You can then ask him to spot you. And it doesn't matter if you don't really need help, just pretend that you need it. What you're doing is you're providing the opportunity for both of you to converse and to connect. You get more friendly, more talkative, all of that. And what you notice is from that point, when you guys see each other, you will naturally start to engage a little bit more every time, which perfectly sets up for the next final thing that you're gonna do. Once you're at this point where, every time you see each other, you have a little bit of a dialogue, this is when you say to him, hey, look, you've actually helped me quite a bit. I really appreciate it. Why don't we just train together one time? And of course, he's gonna say yes, because every guy likes to train with an attractive girl at the gym. And then that's how it starts. From there, you just continue to train together as and when. Because if you say that you're going to train together, that means he needs to get your contact details, right? Either your Instagram or your number, which means you're going to be messaging outside of the gym. You start converting your conversations from inside the gym to outside the gym. And if you're working out together and spending time together and talking outside of your gym hours, it's only a matter of time before he's like, hey, why didn't we just hang out? As a woman, you have more agency over getting men than you think. And just knowing how to use that feminine side of yourself in a few situations is gonna help you in almost all situations. So if you're ready to invite that great guy into your life, then enroll in my Claim Your Man program below where I show you how to do just that. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, keep it slick.